Good morning, everyone. This is Tony from the NGS Academy team for the Africa CDC, PGI. I'm here in Kilifi in Kenya. We are at the third iteration of the Advanced Bioinformatics course. I have here Diana, one of our participants. So tell us about yourself.
Hi, Tony. My name is Diana Kisakye Kabbale, and I'm a clinician and also a researcher working with a malaria molecular surveillance group in Uganda, and also with a group that is doing some research on cryptococcal meningitis, basically a fungus that causes meningitis in people who have HIV. And I'm happy to be here and to also attend the third iteration of the NGS Advanced Workflows course.
Great. Last year when you were here, you learned about different workflows, containers, and there were introduction to GitHub. Now this year you sort of get to work on a group project. You have some data. You're going to start designing workflows and analyze the data. What were some of the challenges you have experienced in the course, and also maybe just tell us some of the biggest gain that you have obtained from the course, whether it's networking, whether it's a skill acquisition.
All right, thank you for the question, Tony. And I will begin basically with my challenges, basically along my journey in genomics and bioinformatics. Basically, have stemmed from my background. As I mentioned, I'm a clinician, so I did not have like a lot of computing experience in bioinformatics.
Yes.
And so for me, actually, the bioinformatics journey has sort of been like an uphill sort of journey.
Struggle.
A very steep curve because I did not have the computing or statistical sort of like background. But what this course, the advanced NGS workplace course, has brought for me, or the advantages that it has, and what it has added to me, has basically been for me a very nice, first of all, introduction to computing. I did not really have that introduction as I was learning bioinformatics.
Sure.
And so some of the challenges that I experienced in doing bioinformatics were mostly to do with understanding what, operating system I'm working on, and,
Sure.
how to get tools to align with or to work well on the operating system
Yes.
on my machine, my local machine, and on a server. So I did not have like that grasp.
The basic fundamentals.
Exactly, the basic fundamentals. And this advanced workflows course, actually, when I attended the first iteration, I asked a lot of questions around navigating
Command line.
yes, but
Docker.
not just the command line, but also how to get stuff to work with my operating system. I was yes, comfortable with the command line, but I always had challenges with getting software to work on my personal laptop and also in a Linux environment. And I realized that had to do with mostly the lack of understanding of how to get things to work across different
debugging, troubleshooting.
exactly different platforms. And so that's been one of the greatest benefits for me
Sure.
that this course has offered. And so when I went back from the first iteration, I was able to actually understand, what software would be compatible with my machine.
Sure.
And also maybe across maybe Linux environments.
Yeah.
And previously I had also run into Docker images.
Yes.
And for me it was a very daunting thing because in my bioinformatics experience I had not learned
Right.
how to use software
Yes.
run on Docker applications. So it was something very big and daunting for me.
Right.
But after last year's iteration, then I learned that actually Docker is basically just a form of packaging like this software so that it can be reproducible across platforms. So it was no longer daunting for me when I encountered applications that run with Docker. Yeah. The other thing that I really benefited from last year, there was also some bit of learning how to organize like my work generally, my code, and then deposit it on a repository where it is publicly available. So what I did when I went back, I did have those scripts on my local machine and on the server, and so I annotated them like better, and then pushed all of those into a GitHub repository so that they can be accessible to anyone who might probably want to do a similar analysis. So that is one strong thing that I also implemented when I left Networks last year.
Yeah, so as you eloquently put, having no sort of computational background and becoming competent in whether it's syntax or working with SnakeMake or Nextflow or just installing these softwares or packages in your machine is difficult. And obviously, being at the course, you sort of had that mentor to be able to assist you, that supporting structure. Um, I think one of the questions you sort of seen is there isn't many women in science. I'm sure you've seen it from the course last year and now the course this year. There's only 3 or 4 females in the entire course, and that's one of also a big challenge, right, in science. So, from a female perspective, do you have any advice, any contributing factors as why there isn't enough people or especially young girls coming into the field of science or bioinformatics?
I think it might have to do with like societal, sort of like perspectives or stereotypes, and I see this a lot in my country because that's where I'm based most of the time. So a lot of people who are into programming and bioinformaticians, what they call, I guess, maybe the heavy analytics and
Okay.
maybe the complex aspects of analytics.
Yeah.
Most of them seem to be like men,
Yeah.
and perhaps it's because we have not had like a lot of women in that area who demystify, who have been able to demystify like some of these myths or perspectives that people hold in society about bioinformatics and data sets being very, very complex and only something that they see that men are capable of excelling at. So it's just a lack of women or a limited representation of women in these spaces that perhaps explains why we do not have as many women there. But I hope now that I'm a woman in this field who has actually grown, I guess, over the last couple of years in this area. I hope that perhaps one of the things that I will channel some effort to would be, at least encouraging and mentoring some young women and scientists to join the field. I think it's easier once you have someone you can relate with in the space. If young women see women in the space, then it's an encouragement to them. But if you do not see any woman in the same space, in the same field, then it's hard for you as a woman to take the first step. I didn't have any woman that I saw who was doing bioinformatics who encouraged me to join the space. I think for me it was mostly out of curiosity and wanting to take on a different challenge.
Yeah.
And because of that, I sort of blocked out the fact that it was mostly a male-dominated field. Naturally, I blocked that out. But when I get in here, I actually realize, oh wow, the reality is it's actually mostly male-dominated, and there are very few women. But for other women to see women in the field, I think that can be an encouragement for them. And definitely, I wouldn't want people to go through the experiences that I have had. But also, I think it's been good that there have been a lot of men who have been supportive. For example, we have the mentors in this course, and some of the colleagues that I work with at home are mostly men, but they have been very supportive. It's not some other fields where I've heard that, women have been consistently kicked out. I feel like in the bioinformatics space, they are actually very receptive of women.
Open.
Yes, exactly, and very open to women being involved in a lot of things. So I think that has also made the journey for me as a woman easier. I haven't encountered, any discrimination in terms of opportunities. Yeah, so it's made it a lot easier for me.
No, I think that's very well put. I mean, the reason why we're trying to have these interviews is to share your personal experience and make sure that your voice is heard. And as you say, we might need to change the mindset or the point of view of, young women, coming into science, whether it's grad students or even high school students, and for you to sort of share your experience and tell them that, this is a field. Don't be, subjugated by legacy.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of, computation or computers. If you put in the time and effort, you can learn, and there is a sort of supporting structure in place. As we sort of come to the end of this, what advice would you give, someone that's coming into the field of bioinformatics or any other, young scientist? Because, we have seen already the 2020 COVID pandemic, how it's really changed the shape of the healthcare system, how government policies must be put in place. And we see that, especially the African developing countries are hit much harder than those of America and Europe, the developed countries. So what would you tell the people out there?
So, one, I think open-mindedness is very important because I think it's also a very dynamic sort of like field. There's new tools, there's lots of changes, and within a very short period of time. So it's very nice to get in there with an open-minded attitude, knowing that things are likely to evolve and change. But being open-minded helps you not to be overtaken, by like
Yes,
those
be, a,
massive changes.
be adaptable.
Exactly. The second one is to keep learning.
Sure.
Yeah, so yeah, one should just have to keep learning, and how to keep learning, I guess, can happen in different ways. There's the independent study, but then there's also opportunities like this workshop where we get to network with people from different countries,
Yes.
and learn about what they are doing, and perhaps to get the opportunity to hear that someone is doing something that's ahead of what you are doing in your country, and so it's an opportunity to learn how to perhaps
Exchange of ideas.
yes, exchange ideas, and take something back,
Sure.
in your home countries. And then also the mentors are a very nice avenue to keep learning from because they have experienced most of the people that you will sort of like experience. So a workshop like this, gives us that opportunity. Even when we go back home, we can still keep, communicating,
Collaborate,
exactly,
network.
collaborate, exactly, and also sharing challenges
Sure.
between members and also with the mentors, so that they can help us sort of like be able to navigate this. So yeah, so I think that's Then the last one that maybe the last piece of advice that I would give to anyone in the field is I think that bioinformatics is like an area where you get the most out of it when you work with people.
Yes.
And I see this a lot in workshops like this. You get a better output and probably more meaningful, and also more useful to you when you collaborate and work as a team. So even when we return in our own countries, I think it's something that is good to continue to work together. And also because there's lots of challenges as you try to, to do an analysis. There's lots, definitely, I don't know anyone who's gone through an analysis and had it smooth from start to end. There's always something, a new problem.
Yes.
And if you're working as a team, then it's easier to debug or to solve that problem than if you're working as an individual.
Sure.
You can easily get frustrated and perhaps maybe leave the field because of the frustration, especially if it's too much.
Yeah.
But always having a team of people that you work with, or even consulting, I think makes the field a lot, a lot
Easier.
easier to
Sure.
easier to navigate.
No, I think those are very valuable perspective, and as you say, collaboration, having that intellectual sparring partner, be able to exchange ideas is very useful. No, thank you very much for your time, Diana.